I once held the conviction that once one reached the age of 60, the realm of the unexpected would close its doors. Life seemed to unfold in a familiar rhythm, serene, perhaps bordering on monotonous. Yet, a single fleeting moment dismantled that facade. It was not a cacophony. It lacked any sense of drama, possessed a gentle quality, nuanced, nearly slips from memory, and yet, it dismantled every notion I held about my identity, about connection, about desire, about the essence of being truly acknowledged. What began as a simple act of kindness evolved into an unexpected turn of events. And if you believe you can predict the outcome of this tale, believe me, you cannot. Stay with me. For this tale, it transformed the entire landscape. Each morning unfolds with a cherished ritual, a deliberate sip of coffee, the familiar creak of my aged chair by the window, and the gentle hum of my quaint street awakening to the day. It's nothing extravagant, merely a routine, secure, unsurprising. Yet, that morning, an unsettling air lingered, as if the world had shifted just out of reach. The sky appeared more muted than usual. The comforting embrace of the coffee no longer offered the solace it once did, and my bones, they served as a stark reminder, painfully, that youth was a distant memory. At 63, I had become accustomed to a more tranquil way of life. A life woven from the threads of loss, waning vitality, and courteous exchanges in the aisles of the grocery store. My name is Helen, and for the past 7 years, I have resided in a house that once brimmed with life, brimming with vitality, brimming with discourse, brimming with affection. My husband departed suddenly, a stroke swift and merciless. My offspring, matured, dispersed. They come around during the holidays and ring me up on Sundays, yet for the most part, it's just me and the house these days. In the stillness, I find my most intimate ally. The sudden knock took me by surprise. Not the doorbell, a firm rap against the wood. 3 soft taps, as if someone wished to remain unnoticed. I remained motionless for a brief moment, uncertain whether it was merely a figment of my imagination. Once more it arrived, amplified. I made my way to the door, caught off guard by the thought of anyone being there. Upon opening it, I found him there, Benjamin, the neighbor who has shared my space for 5 years, perhaps even longer. We've exchanged knowing nods on numerous occasions and shared a few letters here and there. He appears to be in his mid-60s, I would estimate. Perpetually clad in flannel shirts, he meticulously cares for his lawn with a serene attention to detail. A man who speaks sparingly, the sort of person you walk past, never pausing to ponder the tale behind their existence. Yet today he appeared transformed.
Grave.
Deliberate. "Hey, Helen," he murmured, his voice low and infused with a warmth that took me by surprise. I prepared an excess of soup. I thought you might appreciate this." Cradled in his hands was a diminutive container, wisps of steam escaping gently from beneath the lid. He extended it as if it were a treasure, far beyond mere homemade broth. I hesitated, my eyes narrowing as I extended my hand toward it, grappling with the words that eluded me. "I appreciate it. That's truly generous of you." He offered a gentle nod, barely hinting at a smile. "You've been rather withdrawn as of late." I came to the conclusion, perhaps a touch of warmth could provide some solace. It struck with a force greater than I had anticipated, the realization that someone had taken notice. I had been concealing myself, not by design but gradually, with each passing day. Initially bypassing church. Subsequently, the market slipped from memory. Then, without a hint of concern, they neglected to return calls. The weariness was a factor. My body had started to turn against me. Yet the true burden lay within, an emotional haze from which I could not escape.
I appreciate it.
"I truly mean it," I managed to say, my throat constricted. He nodded once more, his conviction stronger this time. "Should you require anything whatsoever, I am merely a stone's throw away." With that, he pivoted and strode off, leaving gratitude unspoken in the air. I hold no expectations, simply existing in that moment. I shut the door behind me and lingered in the hallway for a full minute, cradling that warm container as if it were a precious treasure. As the night deepened, I warmed the soup, letting its comforting aroma fill the air. Uncomplicated. Carrots, chicken, and a hint of rosemary. Yet, it was the most exquisite flavor I had experienced in weeks. Not due to the seasoning, but rather the attention given. Sleep eluded me that night. My thoughts refused to relent. What could have prompted Sam, the reserved neighbor, to take a moment out of his day to see how I was doing? How could he have known that I was yearning for something, anything, to reassure me of my significance? I gazed out the window, my eyes drawn to his house in the distance. The light on the porch glowed softly. A gentle amber light flickers in the shadows. And then it dawned on me. Perhaps I hadn't been as unseen as I believed. A subtle change occurred following that initial bowl of soup. It wasn't the kind of shift that demanded a grand score or a cinematic epiphany. Yet, there exists an undercurrent of nuance. A chair that had been wobbly for years now finds its balance, sitting just right. For the first time in what seemed like an eternity, I no longer felt entirely unseen. Sam didn't visit each day. He did not linger. However, in the week that followed, he found a way to pass by frequently enough that I started to anticipate his presence. A gentle wave from the porch, a soft greeting as I tended to the front garden, watering the blooms with care, a brief note on the shifting weather conditions. In some inexplicable way, that was sufficient to erode the walls of solitude I had constructed around my being. As the late afternoon light began to wane, I found myself glancing at the clock with a sense of anticipation, attuned to the sound of his footsteps, curious about the shirt he could be donning today. Absurd, fleeting notions that stirred within me. Conscious, I felt as though I had truly come alive within my own skin once more. On that Friday evening, a shift occurred. The heavens bore the deep hues of a waning sun, a canvas of bruised colors. As I set my book aside, the sound of that now familiar knock echoed through the room. 3 gentle knocks. I pushed the door open, making an effort to suppress a grin. "Evening," Sam remarked, his hands nestled comfortably in his pockets. "Evening," I repeated softly. "Care for a stroll?" We meandered along the serene pavement, the breeze soft yet invigorating. Sam strolled with a leisurely grace that had become familiar to me, as if he had no destination other than the very moment he occupied. Initially, our words were few. The silence that enveloped us was not filled with discomfort. Rather, it was a comfortable presence, akin to an aged blanket draped over 2 souls who had long since ceased to require the clamor of conversation. "Every evening I would stroll with my wife," Sam remarked after a pause, his voice nearly swallowed by the gentle breeze. "Following the evening meal. Whether the sun graces the sky or the rain falls gently, life continues unabated." She remarked that it ensured our honesty. I cast a fleeting look in his direction, uncertainty swirling within me, words eluding my grasp. "She departed 3 years ago," he added. "I apologize," I murmured softly. He nodded, his gaze fixed on the path that lay before him. Silence envelopes the space. At times, it feels almost too silent. "I know," I replied, and in that moment, I truly meant it for the first time. We found ourselves at the park's boundary, close enough, yet distant enough for the clamor of our small neighborhood to dissolve into the serenade of crickets and the sporadic hum of a passing car. Sam gestured toward a bench. "Are you comfortable enough to take a seat?" I inclined my head, filled with gratitude. In that moment of stillness, I became acutely aware of the proximity that enveloped us. His shoulder hovered mere inches from mine. The warmth of his body provided an unexpected solace amid the evening air's chill. "I never imagined I'd forge a connection with anyone again," Sam remarked unexpectedly. "This is not the way." I glanced at him, taken aback. "What do you mean?" He lingered in silence, lost in contemplation. "It's as if I'm not solitary in this vast world. Perhaps the world hasn't truly paused for me, after all." I found myself without a response, for within the depths of my mind, the very same thought had been lingering. We found ourselves enveloped in silence once more, yet this time, it crackled with intensity, as the calm settles in before the tempest of summer. Then he took an unexpected action. Sam extended his hand, deliberate, measured, and grasped mine gently. His touch radiated warmth, gentle and unassuming. His fingers intertwined with mine, exuding an unexpected confidence. My heart pounded in my chest, a rhythm so powerful it eclipsed the sound of the wind. I ought to have distanced myself. I was aware of that. I ought to have expressed my thoughts on timing or clarified that this wasn't what I desired. Yet I refrained. I allowed him to take my hand in his grasp, and for the first time in what felt like an eternity, I was free from the weight of age. I felt perfectly fine. I felt remembered. A sense of being selected washed over me. The days that followed our final exchange were strangely serene, as though a fragile comprehension had taken root between Sam and me. Our conversations unfolded gradually, revealing layers over time. In truth, our conversation barely touched on any particular subject. Yet, I sensed a transformation unfolding, a delicate yet unmistakable alteration in the atmosphere surrounding us. I discovered a growing anticipation for our shared moments, far beyond what I had ever expected. Uncertainty lingered in my mind, whether it was merely gratitude for his kindness or the stirring of something deeper. Yet, each time our paths crossed, I felt my heart quicken ever so slightly. It wasn't love, not yet, but it was a spark of something more. A burgeoning connection, a tie that evoked both solace and disquiet. There were moments when I found myself gazing at him, pondering the mysteries hidden behind those gentle eyes and those subtle, contemplative movements. Then, one fateful evening, it transpired. Throughout the day, I immersed myself in my garden, nurturing the flowers that had begun to wither beneath the relentless heat of the summer sun. Being outside again was a refreshing experience, the crisp air invigorating my senses as I immersed myself in the earth. For years, I have nurtured a passion for gardening, a delightful hobby that has brought me joy. As the sun dipped below the horizon and I brushed the sweat from my forehead, an urge stirred within me to see how Sam was faring. An unexpected sensation washed over me, peculiar and unfamiliar. I found myself lacking for nothing, truly. Yet, the notion of him remained, hauntingly present. I cleaned my hands on a rag and made my way to his house. As my knuckles rapped against his door, uncertainty swirled within me, leaving me to ponder what I truly sought in that moment. Perhaps it could simply be a dialogue. Yet, the moment he swung the door open, I sensed an unmistakable shift in the atmosphere. His gaze had deepened, and his smile carried a hint of doubt. "Helen," he exclaimed, taken aback. "Hello. How are you?" "I was just thinking about you," I exclaimed, taken aback by my own words. Sam took a step back, extending his hand in an inviting gesture for me to enter. "I'm fine, just tending to a few matters at home." Yet, an undercurrent of tension lingered in his voice. We lingered in the living room, exchanging casual remarks about the weather, our neighbors, and trivial matters, but an unspoken tension hung heavily in the air around us. At last, following an extended silence, Sam inclined his body closer, his gaze locked onto mine. "Helen," he spoke softly, "there's something I must share with you, a thought that has lingered in my mind for quite some time." My heart fluttered unexpectedly. I've been reflecting on our connection, and I can't shake the feeling that there's something deeper at play. Though our time together has been brief, there's something about this, whatever it may be, that resonates deeply within me. I was utterly astonished. His words stirred a dormant part of me that had remained silent for far too long. "I never anticipated this," I confessed. "I had no expectations." However, Sam nodded, his voice now imbued with a gentler cadence. "I'm not truly seeking anything, not in the grand sense. I simply wanted you to be aware. My feelings for you have grown deeper than I ever anticipated." His candor was captivating. Initially, I found myself at a loss for words, yet I chose not to flee. I did not refute it. "I care about you as well, Sam," I replied. "I cannot quite put my finger on it, but I sense it." A profound silence lingered in the air. He extended his hand and softly grasped mine. "I'm here," he stated with quiet assurance. "No matter what unfolds, my presence remains. In that moment, those words became everything I required. The days that followed our deep conversation unfolded with a soothing, gentle cadence. Sam and I took our time. There was no urgency for us. What we were creating was unhurried, tender, and sincere. There existed neither pressure nor expectation. Only existence. Simply show concern. We started to share more moments together in uncomplicated ways. He would assist me in nurturing my garden, readily volunteering to uproot obstinate roots or transport hefty bags of soil. I would prepare modest meals and extend an invitation for him to join me. As we savored our time together in my sun-drenched kitchen, the gentle melodies of the radio filling the air around us. As our conversation unfolded, it became increasingly clear how parallel our histories were. Defined by subtle sacrifices, prolonged periods of solitude we seldom acknowledged, and an enduring desire to maintain a connection to something greater, to another soul. Yet, as our bond deepened, there were moments when I found myself pausing, caught in a web of uncertainty. Is it possible for something genuine to emerge at this stage of life? Can a bond nurtured by kindness and closeness genuinely evolve into love? As dusk settled around us and the stars began to twinkle into existence, I turned to him and posed the question that had been heavy on my mind. Sam, what is our purpose here? He cast a glance, his gaze steady yet solemn. It seems we are allowing ourselves the freedom to truly embrace life once more. A smile graced my lips, yet a lump tightened in my throat. I never imagined I could allow myself to feel this way once more. He extended his hand toward me, his fingers radiating warmth and assurance. What's stopping us? You remain present. The feelings remain within you. That is quite sufficient. On that particular night, our lips remained unsealed. No promises were made. In the gentle glow of the porch light, we sat side by side, our fingers woven together, and a profound sense of tranquility washed over me, a feeling I hadn't experienced in years. Yet, as is often the case, life finds a method to disturb the calm surface. Several days later, my daughter Claire paid a visit. I hadn't mentioned Sam to her, not out of secrecy, but rather because I struggled to find the right words to convey it. She had grown accustomed to perceiving me as her steady, unwavering mother. The notion of embarking on a new relationship at this stage in my life may indeed raise eyebrows. Claire made her entrance late in the morning, a tote brimming with groceries in hand, embodying her characteristic whirlwind of energy. As we sorted through the boxes in the kitchen, a familiar flutter of nerves began to resurface. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. I found it unnecessary to speculate. It was clear to me that it was Sam. He stood there, a basket of herbs from his garden in hand, a smile gracing his face as it always did. Yet, as his gaze fell upon Claire positioned behind me, the warmth of his smile wavered ever so slightly. "Hello, Helen," he remarked with an air of nonchalance. "I thought you would appreciate some fresh mint and basil." "Sam," I said, my tone more inviting than I had meant it to be. "How incredibly kind of you." Claire glanced back and forth between us, her eyebrows arching ever so slightly. "What exactly is this?" Sam offered his hand with a courteous gesture. "I am Sam, the neighbor of your mother." Claire extended her hand, a polite smile gracing her lips, yet her eyes narrowed just a fraction, tinged with curiosity, perhaps even a hint of caution. Sam made no effort to stay. He presented the herbs to me, offering a warm wish for a pleasant afternoon before departing. With the door gently shutting behind me, Claire crossed her arms and directed her gaze toward me. "Mom, is there something you wish to share with me?" In an instant, the tranquility I had painstakingly crafted started to waver. Claire's question hung in the air, elusive and weighty. "Mom, is there something you wish to share with me?" My gaze fell upon her, a swirl of doubt clouding my thoughts. I might have dismissed it with a chuckle, shifted the conversation, feigned that Sam was merely a cordial neighbor. Yet I found myself unwilling to conceal any longer. "Indeed," I replied gently. "Indeed, there is." Claire settled into her seat, her arms remaining crossed, poised in anticipation. "I've been spending time with Sam," I confessed. "He has been assisting me, reaching out to see how I'm doing, and he matters to me." She blinked, the revelation evidently taking her by surprise. How am I supposed to care about him? A soft smile graced my lips. I find it difficult to articulate. It transcends the realms of romance or any form of drama. It revolves around the essence of companionship, compassion, experiencing recognition. Claire remained quiet for an extended pause, her expression inscrutable. To my astonishment, her demeanor shifted, revealing a gentler side. "You appear more buoyant than you have in years," she remarked softly. "More joyful." A soft laugh slipped from my lips as I exhaled. A sense of lightness envelopes me. She extended her arm across the table, her fingers gently enveloping mine. "In that case, I'm truly glad for you, Mom." An overwhelming wave of relief washed over me. It was in that moment that I truly understood the depth of my longing for her acceptance. From that moment forward, a shift occurred, not solely in relation to Claire, but deep within me as well. I found myself no longer compelled to explain or justify anything. I had discovered something extraordinary, something unforeseen, and it was perfectly acceptable to cling to it. Several weeks passed, and there we were, Sam and I, perched upon the bench in the neighborhood park. The sun dipped below the horizon, bathing the landscape in a warm, golden glow that filtered through the branches of the trees. Words were unnecessary. We simply embraced the quiet together. He extended his hand, intertwining his fingers with mine. "I'm grateful you chose to open the door that day," he remarked, his tone soft and earnest. I gazed at him, my heart brimming with emotion. "I feel the same way." What began as a simple bowl of soup accompanied by a basket of herbs had evolved into something profound, a bond one hadn't realized I was longing for. We refrained from labeling it as love. There was no necessity for that. What we shared was genuine, sincere, and subtly impactful. As the gentle evening light enveloped the world, a realization dawned upon me. I was embarking on a journey of restoration. I found myself truly alive once more. If this narrative resonated with you, I invite you to take a moment to express your appreciation by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and sharing your reflections in the comments below. A true infidelity story transcends mere betrayal. At times, it revolves around the journey of rediscovery. In the stillness of life, there exists an unspoken promise of connection, the potential for growth, and the grace of second chances. We appreciate your viewership. Keep in mind, if you find yourself grasping, grasp softly. When you choose to release, do so with elegance. And if you find yourself in love, embrace it with courage. Until we meet again in the next tale.